you 50 plus, a Gen Xer, mid-career professional who wants to make a change, a career transition in the coming year? If so, you are going to want to stick around because I am going to share with you some key tips to make that happen quickly and painlessly and really get you through to success. Hi, I'm Jeanette, the North Dawn Coach, and I am so glad that you have joined me here today. So the first thing that I have to share with you to make that career transition as easy and successful as possible is to boil it down to don't take the whole thing in one chunk because it will overwhelm you. Instead, what you want to do is focus on just the very first step that you need to take to move through that transition. And by step, I'm talking about like the smallest, simplest thing that you can do. So when I was thinking about a career transition, one of the earliest small steps that I took was that I determined that I really needed to check with some other folks, professionals in the kind of space that I was going into, and get some expertise. And so I identified, some potential places to do that, and joined essentially a boot camp in getting me started. And that was a really important first step, because it brought me to a support system and gave me some important information initially. Now, that may not be your first step. You may have a different one, and it could be a super, super small step. But the point of this particular tip is do one small thing. And in the doing of the one small thing, it's likely that the next small thing that you can do will materialize and so forth. And so you can really build on that. But don't overwhelm yourself with a bunch of things to do right off the bat. Just pick one small thing. The second thing that is a real tip for this process is that it is likely that you're thinking about transition, you're thinking about change because you're dissatisfied. You're probably feeling fairly anxious. You don't like the current circumstances that you're in, and that may have clouded your perception of your own expertise and your abilities to make a transition. In other words, you're not feeling so great and confident about your own skill set at this particular moment. Now, that's not likely to be the accurate representation of what you can actually do. I'm almost certain that it isn't. It's kind of a foggy version that you have of yourself because maybe your confidence has become a bit eroded in this period of time. So, what can you do about that? That is the reality. And so, part of what you can do about it is to recognize that your reality isn't really reality at this particular time. In other words, you don't have an accurate assessment of your abilities at this time. So, in order to shake you out of that and start to get a better sense of the true expertise that you have, the first thing I think is to lower the bar. So, I've talked about this in some previous videos, but let go of perfectionism as this is the ultimate. Instead, adopt a growth mindset and consider what can I do, that's at the 70% level. And that will help you reassess, the things that you are doing and lower that bar for you in what's acceptable. Now, as I've said before, it's not that we're not going after excellence, but we're just trying to shake things up. And then over time, as you start to work through these issues, you'll start to become more accurate. You'll be able to actually see the accomplishments that you have. But again, like the first step, it's one little step at a time. The third tip that I have for you in moving forward with a career transition in 2025 is let go of the idea that there's only one possible solution out of this particular position that you're in at this point into a future. Now, there's probably a traditional path, moving from one W-2 sort of job to another. But there are other options available to you. You just don't know about that at this time. So you don't necessarily have to do anything on this initially, other than to just relax and know there are other options out there and more of a portfolio career sort of perspective. I've talked in some of my past videos about this idea in terms of even things like, tiny houses and slow travel and those kind of things. I'll make sure that I link to those particular videos. But if you're really uncertain about, some of the strategies that you can follow in this particular area, I am happy to do, a free, so complimentary strategy development session with you. And I'll leave the link to sign up for that to find a scheduling spot in the description box as well. And then finally, the last thing that I want to offer as a tip is right now, kind of associated with the second point that I made, that you don't have an accurate representation of your skill set. You're probably not feeling all that great about it. You probably correspondingly don't really feel all that excited about taking this transition step, this change step at this point. It probably feels like something that you really need to do. um, Maybe you feel forced in that direction. But what I want to offer to you is that it actually can be a great adventure. There are so many good things on the other side of that transition. Again, kind of like that fog where you just don't see it at this particular point in time. But the tip that I'm offering you at this point is it will come as you take those first steps and start to explore and take action. Some of the excitement of that adventure will start to come out for you. So those are some quick ideas for you early in the start of the year. I'll come back with more details in future videos. But for now, I'd love to have you join me in comments. Let's have a conversation there. I'd love to hear about what you are considering. All right, that's it for now, but I will be back in a couple days with another video. Thanks for watching, and we'll talk soon.